The humans, deadly and relentless, were first encountered by the Cook-Kamsu, a species known for its uncompromising nature. As expected, the Cook-Kamsu launched an immediate attack, which turned out to be a grave mistake. Our galaxy is vast, with only a handful of sentient species capable of interstellar travel, and at the forefront of these species are we, the Amia. But what the Cook-Kamsu didn't know, and what the rest of the galaxy was unaware of, was that the humans had quietly been expanding, creating a small yet growing domain in a remote and largely unremarkable corner of the galaxy. It wasn't much, just a few dozen colonies in nearby systems, but it was theirs, and they had no knowledge of the Cook-Kamsu or any other sentient species. You'd think that, in the face of an aggressive species like the Cook-Kamsu, the humans, being relatively primitive and unaware, would suffer greatly. But that assumption was wrong. I'll explain, so pay close attention because there's an important history lesson here. A Cook-Kamsu reconnaissance team discovered a small human settlement on a world designated for economic exploitation. The settlement was new, no more than a few years old at best. But when the Cook-Kamsu arrived, they immediately began their customary attack, burning down the human structures. They probably didn't even realize these were buildings inhabited by sentient beings, as the Cook-Kamsu communicate via pheromones and are not adept at recognizing other species' mental states, particularly when it comes to telepathic or semi-telepathic species. In their limited understanding, they saw only buildings and reacted as they always do. Their efforts to burn down the settlement didn't go smoothly. Fortunately for scholars, the Cook-Kamsu's reconnaissance team wore helmet-mounted cameras, and their ship's black box recorded everything in real time. Combined with human testimony, we have a reliable account of what happened. The team's leader approached the first building, ignoring the fleeing humans, and began torching it with his arm-mounted flamer. The next building, slightly larger than the first, presented more of a challenge. The Cook-Kamsu are massive, towering at nearly 5 meters in length and standing almost 2 meters tall when on all fours. They use their 4 hind legs to stand, and their other limbs could be used as arms or legs, depending on the situation. The leader, still focused on his task, fired his flamer at the second building's ground floor, then reared up to scorch the second floor with additional blasts. He even used his multi-purpose laser mounted on his other forelimb to deal more damage. As he and his team tore through the human settlement, they remained largely unaware of the humans still within, until the leader spotted a vehicle trying to escape. He destroyed it with a quick laser shot and approached to finish off the wreck with his flamer. But it was here that he encountered the unexpected. Among the wreckage, the team leader found a typical human family, a male, a female, and 2 juveniles, cowering in fear. At this moment, something shifted. The leader, perhaps more perceptive than most of his species, hesitated, but only for a moment. He raised his flamer to continue his destruction, but that's when the unimaginable happened. In an instant, his arm was severed. Standing between him and the helpless family, holding the severed limb, was another human, fully encased in armored battle gear. This human had snuck up on the Cook-Kamsu leader, swiftly removing his limb before he even noticed. Armed with a large kinetic pistol and a sword, the human stood tall and unflinching. The Cook-Kamsu leader, stunned, began to process what had just happened. Although in shock, he still attempted to defend himself, raising his remaining weapon, a combined laser, against this unexpected opponent. He fired, but the human, displaying incredible speed, simply stepped aside. The human didn't dodge the shot, but in the time it took for the Cook-Kamsu to aim and fire, the human had already predicted where the shot would land and avoided it. Human reaction times were simply too fast. The Cook-Kamsu leader kept firing, but it was futile. The last thing his helmet cam recorded was the blur of the human passing beneath him. The leader was the first casualty in the human Cook-Kamsu conflict. Who was this mysterious human, and why was he there? It turns out he was one of a group of human scouts sent to prepare for an invasion. Humans, despite being divided into numerous factions, often fight one another in organized warfare. This particular group of scouts was preparing to take the colony from the faction that had established it. But when the Cook Kamsu attacked, the scouts didn't hesitate to step in and defend the human family. The reason? Humanity's complex rules of engagement. In their wars, there are lines that shouldn't be crossed. One such rule is that juveniles, children, should never be harmed. This was why the scouts intervened when the Cook Kamsu made their mistake of attacking a family with young children. Humans are a species shaped by constant conflict, not just with nature but with each other. Unlike most species in the galaxy, who evolved from herbivores and are driven by instincts to avoid confrontation, humans evolved from carnivores and have long honed their abilities to survive against predators, including other humans. In fact, humans are the only sentient species in the galaxy that evolved specifically to cope with the threat of other sentients. When humans feel threatened, their response is instinctive, but their ability to adapt and outthink their opponents is what truly makes them formidable. This deadly combination of physical prowess and strategic intelligence is what sets humanity apart. Humans are not just physically fast and strong, they are also masters of tactics and warfare. This cultural evolution has led to a species that, while smaller than many others, is capable of incredible strength and speed. When faced with a threat, their instincts are not just to fight, but to outsmart their opponents. It is this adaptability and their sophisticated neural architecture that makes them such an extraordinary species. But there is a deeper layer to this. Despite their martial prowess, humans are capable of great complexity and depth. This was evident when the Cook Kamsu, after suffering multiple defeats, finally realized that the humans were not just a threat to be destroyed, but sentient beings with whom they could communicate. After carefully analyzing their new enemy, the Cook Kamsu reached out to the humans and began negotiations. What followed was an unprecedented cultural exchange. While humanity's factions were united against the Cook Kamsu threat, they soon turned their attention to understanding the aliens they had been at war with. This encounter with the Cook Kamsu would go on to spark humanity's interest in the broader galaxy. Their fascination with other sentient species, particularly those who could challenge them, led to a new era of exploration and diplomacy. Humans, once isolated in their corner of the galaxy, began to reach out and study the vast array of species that inhabited it. And while the lesson from this conflict is clear, never threaten a human child, the real takeaway is that humanity, for all its fierceness and violence, is a species of remarkable complexity and adaptability. So remember, if you ever find yourself face to face with a human, understand that they are capable of great destruction, but they are also capable of great things. And if you ever find yourself in a conflict with them, be prepared to fight not just with strength, but with intelligence, because that's what truly makes them dangerous.